Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode from Your Own Pathway. I hope you all are having a wonderful week. My week was kind of exhausting, and I listened to my body and took it easy, but I am back. And I'm excited to be back because today's episode is a deep one. So, for those who don't know me, my name is Paya. I am a trained psychotherapist turned life empowerment coach and organizational leadership consultant, where I empower all of you to forge your own path and to own it. So, one of the things about owning it is, at some point in your life, you got to realize what is not working and what is not working. And are you giving too much of yourself for something that probably was a fantasy or something that you tried so long and so hard to make it work out? I've had clients who've come work with me and say, Paya, I know it's only been 5 years. I know it's been 10 years. And at some point, it's like, when are you going to realize that this person is never going to change, or the situation that you're hoping for is not going to change? And it is a hard one. And so, as you can see, today's episode is getting to the real nitty gritty, and it's going to be hard for a few of you. Honestly, when I was doing this too, I'm like, oh gosh, I've done this. I think all of us have done this too. And the reason why I'm doing this is to really educate and say, you know what? If you're doing this, you are only hurting yourself when you let go of yourself, when you self abandon for something that isn't real. And so today's episode is called Stop Being Loyal to a Fantasy. Oof, I know it is a hard one. And I know that this episode is very deep, personal, and something that many of us have silently struggled with. And so, being loyal to a fantasy is that fantasy could be a person, a relationship, a career that you thought would fulfill you, or even a version of you, of your life that you imagined that just maybe didn't pan out the way you had hoped. So, let's be honest, fantasies are seductive. They are there to seduce us. And what they also do is they promise healing, they offer closure, they feel like hope wrapped in a story that might work out if you just wait a little longer, give a little more, or if you just hold on for one more time or hold on for one more day. But here's the truth: being loyal to a fantasy really means abandoning yourself, your reality, and again, it usually means abandoning yourself. Ouch. I know. I actually did a earlier episode about this, about how to stop abandoning yourself. And living in a fantasy ultimately is abandoning yourself to keep that fantasy alive. And so in today's episode, I'm breaking down why people stay loyal to a fantasy and how you, who's watching this, can step back from those illusions and finally become wide awake. And also discuss why people stay loyal to a fantasy. So, a lot of my episodes, I like to have two parts: explain the why and what you can do about it. So, let's get right into it and let's discuss, why do people stay in a fantasy? Why do people stay loyal to a fantasy? So, the first thing why people stay loyal to a fantasy is, honestly, the fantasy feels familiar. So, what this means is that even if it hurts, this fantasy feels like home. It feels like home, especially if you were conditioned to believe that love, success, or safety must be earned through struggle, sacrifice, or proving. And a lot of times we tell ourselves, if I work harder, stay longer, love deeper, whatever it is, it will finally work. And so oftentimes it's hard to move on from that fantasy because it feels so familiar. So that's number one. Number two, it feeds the hope narrative. So, We all want hope. We all need hope. Hope keeps us going. And sometimes we cling to the potential instead of the patterns. Oof, I know. I know a lot of us cling to the potential instead of the patterns or the actions. And we also focus on what could be versus not what it is. Often the fantasy whispers, maybe they'll change, maybe it'll get better, or maybe this time is different. I've heard so many of my clients say this, especially in situations where there is often abuse. And when I say abuse, I don't mean just physical, I mean emotional, psychological, financial. And I want to say this can happen to both men, women, anybody who is in a relationship. And so we cling on to hope. We hope that people change. We always give them the benefit of the doubt. And so the fantasy feeds our hope. So that's number two. Number three is truth requires grief. And what this means is oftentimes letting go of that fantasy means mourning what you wanted it to be. Wanted it to be. And so it also means that when you admitting also means that it won't become what you dreamed of. A lot of us have dreams, a lot of us has hopes, and I think a lot of us, I think about this clients who are on the verge of deciding if they want to divorce. They had so many dreams about how their marriage was going to be, and that partner or that marriage or whatever did not live up to the expectation of what they were hoping it to be. And so, um, they're mourning what it could have been, what they wanted it to be. And it's so hard to let go. And so they hold on to that hope. And when you let go, there's like the grieving part, like the um anticipatory grief that is occurring. So, oftentimes grief is very heavy, and when grief is hard, and oftentimes we avoid it because we think staying is easier than breaking. But the truth is, staying stuck is false hope and a slow heartbreak. So that's number three, is the truth requires grief. Number four is a lot of times we don't want to feel like we failed. Failure is the worst feeling. Like failure is the worst feeling for a lot of us because none of us wants to admit that we failed. None of us wants to admit that, what I wanted didn't work out. And we learn a lot after failure. And so we've when we put in so much effort, we invest in time, we invest in energy, we invest money, we invest identity, emotion, all of that. And when you let go of that fantasy, it feels like a personal failure. So we double down, we try harder, we justify, because if you were to walk away from that fantasy, it means it wasn't what I thought it was, or that's a vulnerable truth to sit with. Again, I know number four hits a lot of us because failure is one of the worst feelings that we can ever go through, especially when we invest so much time into, again, that relationship, that job, the move, whatever it is. And we justify by saying, what, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it'll all be fine. I've been there, and a lot of my clients have been there. So we don't want to feel like we failed. That's number four. Number five is it serves a deeper wound. And sometimes we stay loyal to the fantasy because it meets a deeper unresolved need. Often in situations or scenarios, because we are wanting approval from a parent we never please. We have a love story that we never got in childhood, or We're seeking the success that finally proves that we're finally enough. So we chase fantasies that promise to fill that void until we realize that void needs healing and not performing. So how do we accept how do we stop accepting illusions and being loyal to something that makes you abandon ourselves? So number one is, you know what? We have to start calling out for what it is, not what you wish it was. And so you do this because you can't heal from what you won't name. Was it love or was it the idea of love? I've been there, done that, and I came to my own conclusions too. Was it a partnership or was it emotional potential? Potential. A lot of us live in potential, and potential think if there's potential, we think it's enough. But potential is never enough. Was it fulfillment or performative success? Mm, okay. If you're constantly explaining, defending, or wanting it to change, chances are it's a fantasy. I know there are many times when there have been relationships or situations where you get when somebody points out something to you and you get so defensive. It's like, no, that's not it. No, 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 that, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And you have to defend someone's actions, even though probably deep down, you know that what they're doing is probably not the healthiest, but you feel the need to defend it. So, number one is call it out for what it is. Number two, let's get honest about what it's costing you. The fantasy might be giving you hope, but at what price? Is the price peace? Is the price your confidence? Is the price years of your life? Or is it at the cost of your self trust? Think about all of this. Sometimes we stay attached to an illusion because we're so afraid of the grief behind letting it go. And by staying is often more painful than leaving. Staying is often more painful than leaving. I know that one's a hard one, and the truth of the matter is, it is more painful. Staying is more painful than leaving. So that is number two. Number three is let yourself grieve for what you want it to be. You're not just letting go of a person, a role, or a dream. What you're doing is you're letting go of what you hoped would heal you. And again, I see a lot of this in my therapy clients, especially as someone who specializes in grief and loss and trauma. And I saw a lot of grief. And when you think of grief, you think of a passing of someone. Like a lot of us think, oh, that's just grief is when somebody passes away. Grief is a lot more broad than that. Grief is a lot of scenarios, a lot of situations, and there's a lot of grief in identity. There's a lot of grief in who you are. There's a lot of grief in dreams. There's a lot of grief in everything that we do. And so you're allowed to grieve the story. You are allowed to grieve the unmet needs. You are allowed to grieve the version of you who waited and worked and hoped. Again, you put in all this investment. And again, investment is not just about money, it's the emotional, it's the psychological, it's, showing up every day, the consistency. And you think that If you keep doing that person or situation will reciprocate, and you keep waiting and waiting and waiting. Even if this happened for you, please don't shame yourself. Please don't shame yourself, because a lot of times, a lot of us were doing what we thought was best and what we knew. Like, this is what we knew and what we thought was best. And a lot of times you don't know the about these things because, again, you were conditioned. So, shame. Let go of shame. Don't let the shame keep you stuck. Number 4 is root yourself in the now, not the someday. I know a lot of us think, oh, someday I'm going to do this, someday I'm going to do that. Someday they're going to change. Someday they're going to see how wonderful I am. Someday they're going to see how much of a hard worker I am and that I go above and beyond and I do all this stuff for them. Someday they're going to see me for who I am. Someday they're going to need me so much and I'm going to be there for them. Someday, someday, someday. And that someday is not going to come. Fantasy keeps you focused on maybe one day. Reality asks you, what's happening right now? Right now, are you being seen? Are you being supported? Are you being safe? Are you being respected? If the answer is no, it's time to come home to the truth, no matter how hard it is. So, number 4 is to root yourself the now, not the someday. Number 5 is rewrite the story. You don't need the fantasy to be whole. And what this means is you're not broken because a fantasy didn't work. You're not unworthy because someone did become who you believed they could be. You're not a failure because your dream shifted or fell apart. And what happens is you are now free to build something real. And real might be messier, but real love loves you back. I'll say that again. Real might be messier, but real love loves you back. So, how are y'all feeling about this? I know that this could be a hard one, especially for a lot of people who are still loyal to something that they know that is not working. And they put years and years and years into that relationship or that situation or that job or whatever it is. And you think next year, 2 years, and before you know it, your 20s go by and you think, oh my God, I spent all my time doing this. I spent all of my time doing this. It could be your 20s, it could be your 30s, it could be your 40s. Whatever you decide, know that it's never too late. It is never, never too late to have your eyes wide open. So, letting go of a fantasy doesn't make you bitter, it makes you brave. And you don't have to keep betraying your truth to keep the illusion alive. You can let go, you can breathe, you can definitely begin again on solid ground with your full self and in full truth. So, that is all I have for you all today. I know this episode really digged in deep about life and about illusions that some of us try to protect ourselves in. And so, um, if this one hit home or if you've been through this situation, please hit the comment. If you want to share your story, please share in the comments. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope this episode gave you a lot of thought if you're in this situation. And if you're new to my channel and like this episode, please hit the like and subscribe button. But otherwise, I will see you all next time. Please take care. Bye.